So thank you for coming this morning. My name is Tina, and I would like to talk a little bit about what I do, which is art worth sharing one selfie at a time. I'm pretty sure a lot of you in this room have a smartphone, and I'm also pretty sure you've snapped photos and posted them online, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And this happens every day. It happens actually all day, all week, all year. Whether it's in the mornings when you're traveling to work on the bus, you see people snapping photos. When it's at lunchtime in the office, when people are snapping photos of their food that they're eating, or even in the evenings, when you're spending time with your friends or your family, and especially on holidays, when you want to grab that perfect photo on the beach. So let me give you a little bit of a background on the different types of terms that are used for the different types of photos that people take today. I'm pretty sure you know of the term selfie. A selfie, in case you don't know, is a photo of yourself that you take with your phone. There's also a term called Wi-Fi. A Wi-Fi is a photo of a group of people taking a selfie. Then there is Belfie. A Belfie is a person taking a photo of their ass. I'm sure you've seen those floating around on the web. Then we have Felfie. A Felfie only applies to farmers. Do we have any farmers in here? No. Okay. This is a selfie taken by a farmer with his livestock in the background in the shot. And then we have a Yui. This is my favorite. It's a person taking a selfie and you taking a photo of that person taking their selfie. So, my name is Tina. I'm born and raised in Copenhagen. And what I do is I create installations for people to take photos inside of, outside of, and next to. I'm going to scroll back 30 years ago. 30 years ago, I was about 5. And it was when I created this art piece called Friends. It's a parrot sitting on its friend dog. It was here where I realized that I wanted to become an artist. But as you all know, I have Asian parents, and you all know how that goes. It wasn't the most feasible career to go with. So I ended up working as an interior designer in London for over a decade. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But I didn't really thrive for it. It wasn't until I moved to Singapore where I ended up finding a job at a nightclub. A nightclub, working as a creative. I didn't understand it myself. But there was a role there for a set design role. And so I figured, okay, let's see what this is about. And what this was about was, it was a role for me to create art installations for the nightlife industry within this club. This is Zouk. Zouk is one of the more prominent clubs here in Singapore. And so I started building these installations. This is an installation of some diamonds that I installed that are lit, that hover across and above the crowd as they're dancing the night away. And what I noticed was that people were taking photos and using these diamonds as their backdrop. And they were posting it. They were posting on Instagram. They were posting it on Facebook. And I was able to find these photos online because Instagram and Facebook was widely used at this time. And so I continued. I started to create bigger installations. I installed UFOs, reflective finishes, so they would reflect the lights in the club. Here we have molecular dodecahedrons. Again, the idea of this was that they were inspired by the sound vibrations that were kind of omitted from the music within the club. I also worked on large-scale installations for festivals. These are 4-meter-long stars that hang above one of the star stages at one of the annual festivals here in Singapore called Zouk Out. But the thing was, it was all great. People were using my installations as backdrops, you know, and they were sharing them. But I wanted to figure out how I could bring the installations down to ground. So my next step was to start building installations where people could walk inside of them, touch it, feel it, really kind of get immersed in it. So this is a pop-up. It's a vinyl shop, which is very disco-inspired. You'll see these large kind of wigs that I created for them. It's very colorful. But the issue here was people here were having their photos taken. They couldn't really take their selfie. So I started to explore mirrors. Mirrors were this is one of the first kaleidoscopes I designed using mirror, and it used light. What was great about this was that it really attracted people to want to step inside. And it was easy. It was easy because there didn't need to be a photographer there. You could whip out your phone, take your selfie, take your Wi-Fi, and it worked. So how could I push it to the next level? It was really successful in terms of using the mirror. So this is another type of installation where I try to subtly incorporate the branding. If you don't know, the logo for that club has an iconic eye in it. So the idea was, as people are taking their photos inside this installation, you could see the iconic branding within that brand. I'm going to show you here a short video. All right, so here's a short video of the type of work I've done. My aim really was to try to explore as many different types of settings for my installations, be it kind of in the nightlife industry, be it in food, beverage, be it for tech companies. And it really was about trying to see how many different types of demographics I could create installations for. And what was really great was people were gramming it. It was awesome. So we did stuff, you know, this is a breathable gin chamber. We did stuff for, you know, food, whatnot. Done a little bit of film. So, you know what? I finally felt like I was starting to be an artist. I finally felt like I was starting to live my childhood dreams. I was an Instagram artist. People were taking photos of my installations. They were uploading them. They were sharing it. It was great. But I also wanted to figure out how I could create experiences to make you really present in the moment. So how would I do that? I created a breathable gin chamber. A gin chamber, you could go inside and breathe the alcohol. This was a 3-piece installation for an anniversary. The theme was about the future of clubbing. So my version of this was, hey, why don't we create an installation, which is the first part of the user journey. You walk inside, you get your welcome cocktail, but you breathe it. So what happens is, as you walk inside this installation, which is also Instagrammable, you are hit with this large cloud of mist. And what happens is the gin then seeps in through your pores, and it gives you a buzz within 20 to 30 seconds. It's a cheap thrill, but it works. So the next part of the journey was really to try and introduce the path of the next installation, where I designed these diffraction glasses. If you guys don't know what a diffraction glass is, when you put them on, it multiplies your visual by 10 times. So imagine they're feeling the buzz of the alcohol that's hit them within 20 seconds, put on the glasses, and make them walk through this hallway full of lasers. Then the last part of the journey was really just to give them the drinks at this pop-up bar. Other projects I've worked on were a bit larger. This was for an alcohol brand, and they were launching a new alcohol, which really was targeted towards the younger demographic, the millennials. So they were like, you know what? Can you help me build an installation that maybe was a little bit more attractive, that correlates back to what we're trying to launch here? So what happens here is the type of cognac, in this case, works best if you mix it with a juice. So I designed this large-scale LED screen. As you stood in front of it, started moving around, these 6-meter-tall fruit robots would then mimic your movements, and you would be turned into a fruit robot. Other projects I worked on have been one here for a bank. This bank particularly wanted to be known as the #1 digital bank in the world. So how I did that was I created a kaleidoscope installation which had visuals being mapped inside, but the idea was that these visuals would take you into different spaces, which is what this bank in particular wanted to try and kind of communicate. Another installation was an interactive water swing. It was very Instagrammable. People were taking photos, but on top of that, you could also print your name onto it. So it made it really immersive, especially in the type of settings that we installed it in. The only thing is, I started to scratch my head because I started hearing that people didn't feel I was a real artist. It made me sad. It made me super sad. But I realized, hey, if people are sharing my art, isn't that a positive thing? Isn't it a good thing? So basically, I realized I want to make art that is democratic. I believe that art should be accessible. And I also believe that art should be shared. I make art that people take photos of, which makes it worth sharing. And you know what? I'm judging it whether it's shared or not. Here's me in Japan a couple of years ago on Naoshima. There's art installations everywhere. I'm sure you're all familiar with this piece by Yayoi Kusama, The Pumpkin. She's also become very popular over the years because her work is very Instagrammable. But is art only something that can be shown in a museum? Does that make it art? I want to make art that is worth sharing. And I've created an installation for you that's outside, which I'd love for you to try. It's a smaller version of the type of work that I normally do, but if you stand in front of it, stand at different angles, speak to it, you'll see how it kind of connects with you. Because of the way that the shapes of the facade have been built, it will start to bounce back acoustics to you. If you stand on the left, you'll see a word. If you stand on the left, you'll see another. And if you stand at a certain angle, you see yourself reflected 10 times. Have a look at it, gram it, let me know how you feel about it. So at the end of the day, my message is I want to see art thrive. When art thrives, art grows. And when art grows, it inspires, making it relevant to today. Thank you.